The movie Longtime Companion was made in 1989. It stars Bruce Davison, Campbell Scott, Patrick Cassidy, and Stephen Caffrey. It follows a group of gay men as they learn of the discovery of the AIDS epidemic and shows their struggles with the disease, eventually almost all of them contracting it. Starting the movie off strong, the very first scene is of the characters reading the news of the outbreak in the New York Times. Like discussed in class on October 24th, the movie also portrays the false information being pushed by the media. Another scene that portrays the spread of false information is when Sean is in the hospital and Willie goes to visit him. After greeting everyone in the room, Paul goes to the bathroom and begins to wash down every single part of his body that has been touched. This goes to show the information that has been spread so far that even members of the gay community were beginning to believe them, fearing for their lives. Around 30 minutes into the movie, it is also evident that the gay community in the 80s was discriminated against. Howard talks about how he is asked to play what they call a butch gay in a show that he is starring in on television. This conversation reveals that he is hesitant to play the role due to others having been essentially blacklisted for doing the same thing, not being able to find any sort of job. This shows how the gay community was looked down upon and how discrimination against them was rampant in the 80s, especially due to the AIDS epidemic. This relates to our discussion of people with AIDS not being able to get certain jobs, discussed in California to vote on the AIDS proposition reading, such as jobs such as food handling. Both of these examples show how members of the gay community were discriminated against during the time. Another way the movie relates to class materials is in the suggestion that gay men should stop having sex altogether in order to stop the disease. In a scene with Fuzzy and Paul, Fuzzy asks what he thinks will happen when they die, to which Paul responds that they'll get to have sex again, a nod that they know it is too risky to do so, as pushed by the media. Fuzzy also mentions to Lisa that the disease is now apparently spread by saliva, and he jokingly says that now they can't even kiss. This relates to the reading from October 21st, AIDS, a Moral and Political Time Bomb, where it insinuates that gay men are the problem rather than the disease, and because of them and their flaunting of their lifestyles, that the disease is spreading. One fact about the movie that I think holds important value is the year that it was released. Being released in 1989, years after the discovery of AIDS, the movie, in a way, shows the stigmatism that surrounded the AIDS virus in the 80s. It also shows that people were fed up with the lack of proper news coverage of the disease, having not been a bigger focus of the Reagan administration. The movie also was a way for people of the time to actually see how AIDS affected people and their families and loved ones, not just themselves. And it was something not commonly done, again due to the stigmatism and false information pushed by the media and Reagan administration. Another thing that really struck me was the impact that the AIDS virus had on the people during the time. Not only the people that were diagnosed, but the people around them, their friends and family. This is shown well in how scared every character was. They were going to get the disease and afraid that their loved ones were. But it is shown in how upset they were when they found out they had it, each one eventually getting picked off throughout the film.